Hi, my name's Keith Cooper, Northlight Images, and today this short video I'm going to talk about what to do if you've got a new broken printer. Now I will mention what happens when your printer breaks, because they do break, but sometimes it's possible you've got a brand new printer and it doesn't seem to work when you get it out of the box. Now this has happened. I test printers. I've had this happen a couple of times, and almost always it was due to bad shipping. So it'd been dropped or something like that. So first of all, when you get your new printer, check the interior of the box carefully. If it's got plastic foam in it, check to see if it shows any signs of cracking or anything like that, which would suggest it's been dropped. Because if it has, printers, well, they're delicate mechanical devices. They don't like it. So what to do first of all if your printer physically looks broken? Well, obviously take it back to, or get whoever you got it off to take it back and replace it. Now this can be either the supplier, the printer company, Epson, Canon, HP, any of the printer companies, or the manufacturer. Now it does depend whereabouts you are. Now in the UK, it is the person who supplies it to you who has the responsibility. So if you buy it from a camera shop or something like that, and then they go, well, it's nothing to do with us, you'll have to take it up with the manufacturer. For a new product, that's not true. They have to replace it. It's there. You look at consumer legislation, though, wherever you are in the world, because it does vary as to the strength and rights that you've got in that. That's a fairly simple one. You know, it's broken. What about if it's a bit more subtle than that and you take the printer out and it won't initialize? Well, carefully check that you have plugged it in properly. Check that the socket you're using is right. These are all obvious things. I have made mistakes myself when setting things up, so I can do it, and I test a lot of printers, so it's easily done. But let's say it won't initialize, it's dead. Well, that's a pretty simple one. Back to the supplier or the manufacturer as before. If it starts to initialize but doesn't seem to go through its initialization process, and that's where it loads inks up, be very wary that you may have a dud printer. Turn it off. In general, do not turn printers off when they're doing the initialization. They will warn you not to do it. So this is after nothing's happened for quite a long while. Personally, I would leave it for at least an hour, but that's just belt and braces being doubly certain of things. But there should be a process that the printer goes through where you put cartridges in, you put inks in, you top up ink bottles. Follow the process that is written by the manufacturer. Do have a read of that, because like many people, I can be guilty of thinking, oh, I know how to do this. I've done this before. I won't bother reading the instructions. Have a read of the instructions. If you don't read the instructions and you mess it up, well, yeah, it's your fault. You've messed up. So do be careful with it. But let's say you've got your printer and it's loaded up the inks, okay. I did have somebody with a printer once. They started it up, they loaded all the inks up, and nothing happened. It said waiting for inks or something like this. Well, the inks were there, it had all been done. They switched it off, took a couple of ink cartridges out, switched it back on again. That sort of kicked the printer into going, oh, there's something wrong here. Oh, there's cartridges missing. You haven't put the cartridges in. Shut it down, put the cartridges in, started it up, lo and behold, worked fine. They do things like that. It happens with all sorts of devices, computers, mechanical devices and things. You just have to be a bit wary of it. But please do have at least a glance through the manual or the sheet that comes with it to do it, because that does make a difference. Right, let's say you've got your printer set up. One of the first things I ever do is do a nozzle check on plain paper. Now, normally you can do this from the menu of the printer. You may, in some circumstances, you may not be able to do it directly, but I've not come across a printer personally where I couldn't get it to do a nozzle check on plain paper. If nothing happens, if there's no ink comes out, once again, that suggests something wrong. Now, at this early stage, I will almost always suggest go back to the manufacturer, ask them about it. You may have to wade your way through support channels and things like that, but they are there, they have, they know that printers go wrong, and it's not in their interest for you to have a dud printer. They may make you jump through a few hoops, unfortunately, to get there, but there are some bits though where you do need to be a bit careful when, and I'll come back to this, so such as when papers, printers are marking papers, but in general, go through the support, go through whatever your local printer company or the supplier offers for that. So when you're installing software, by the way, if you are using, certainly on better printers, if you find that the printer drivers are not what you think they are and you're using a Mac, make sure you have not accidentally installed the AirPrint drivers. Now, I've got a video that deals with this and I cover it in all my written reviews because it's such an easy thing to do. You mistakenly install the AirPrint driver. People sometimes think, oh, I'm using wireless with the printer, so I need the AirPrint driver. No, you don't. AirPrint is absolutely useless for any form of quality printing. You do not want anything to do with it. Yeah, fine for phones and tablets and things like that, but you do not want AirPrint set up. So that's just for Macs though, that particular issue. It does happen, but I've covered that in lots of different places. But anyway, I mentioned, what about if your printer is making marks on the paper? Two sorts of marks I've seen in testing printers when I'm putting papers through. Usually heavier papers, but sometimes photo papers. You'll get sometimes a mark at the leading edge. And this is where the rollers have tried to pick up the paper, not work properly, and made a mark on it rather than drag it through. Sometimes you'll find with papers, you need to jiggle them a bit to get the printer to recognise them and draw papers through the printer. That's not good. That shouldn't happen. Similarly, if when your piece of paper comes through, your print comes through, and you look at it and you can see sort of marks running down it, like grooves or pressure marks, like somebody's rolled over it with a pizza wheel or something like that and made a mark on the paper. That shouldn't happen either. Now here, I'm going to suggest that if your printer does this on a good quality paper, one, it's very annoying, but also when you contact support for the printer company, if you say, I was using, let's pick a high quality paper, Hahnemühle Photo Rag, very good paper, one that I like using. If you say I was using Hahnemühle Photo Rag and your printer makes marks on my paper, you have given them an immediate excuse to say, well, not our fault, is it? It's your fault for using third-party paper. Now, ignore the fact that we're using what is a very high-quality paper. When you talk to support people, do make sure that you mention the problems that you've had were with a paper from that supplier. Now, you may have to look to find a paper that matches it. But certainly if I had a problem with a printer not printing, a rag art paper that I could find listed Canon, Epson, HP papers. I'm not so sure about HP, but certainly Canon, Epson. I could find papers which are identical to the one I'm using. And I can be fairly positive that where I put a sheet through them, I would get the same marks. Now, you may get somebody, remember you're dealing with support people who are working off a script. Do not give them the bit answer on their script that says, oh, if the person says this, get rid of them because you don't need to worry about it. So, any problems I have when I'm testing a printer, if I'm testing a Canon printer, I had the problems on Canon paper. If I'm testing an Epson printer, I had the problems on an Epson paper. Just I make sure that the paper I had the problems is the same as some others I might happen to be trying. But yeah, that's just the way support for anything works. These days, you cannot expect any serious expertise on the end of the phone line, not until your problem's been escalated several levels. And that's a general concern with things. And the warranty for printers, when you get a new printer, I would suggest making a note in a diary, that's a diary reminder. Say you've got a year's warranty on it. Set a diary reminder at 10 months. And at that diary reminder tells you to check that printer is working properly. Because if it's not working properly at 10 months, you can claim on the warranty. If it's not working properly at 13 months, tough. you're on your own. It's about a matter of getting a printer repaired. So with any new printer like that, just make a note of when the warranty expires and check that the printer is fully working and you're happy with it a while before that expires, because you're going to need to go through a process. Now, it may be that late into the warranty, you may not get a replacement, they may offer to repair, but at least you're going to get the problem fixed as opposed to dumping the printer. Now, dumping the printer, I hate dumping printers. Back in the past, one of my previous careers, I was an electronics engineer, so I happily pull things apart still. The main difficulty I have these days is my close-up eyesight is not as good as it was, so I just have to be a bit tricky, a bit more careful pulling things apart. But printers in general are not designed to be fixable, certainly not the lower end ones. Now, people do fix them. I'll put a note in the notes, a couple of resources. There's a forum, there's a printing forum that I suggest people have and ask for technical problems and issues like that. And also I know of a company in the UK that certainly specialises in repairs. But just be wary, once you get beyond that warranty period, the costs of repairs can quickly approach the cost of a new printer. If you're getting a larger printer, such as this P5000 sitting down here, get a warranty extension on it. It's well worthwhile for printers like this, larger printers. I tested the Epson P5300 recently. That is worth getting a warranty extension on. Because it is a printer that is designed to be repairable and hopefully should give you years of life. Now, most printers should give you years of life, but sometimes they don't. All devices can fail, and they fail in different ways. But just remember, if you've got a new printer, don't accept faults in it, because and experience tells me this, if something is a little bit iffy early on in the life of a printer, it's not feeding paper properly, that will not get better. So just remember that when you get a new printer, check it out thoroughly as soon as you can, that you're happy with what it's doing. Now, as I said, I'll put some notes to various resources. I've got lots of stuff about cleaning printers and things, some articles I've written over the years, and I'll put them all notes in that. But hopefully things will be fine. Only a very few printers are faulty. I've very rarely had it happen. And I say it's almost always been because someone's dropped it on its way being delivered to me. So, if you've got any questions, please do let me know. If you've got any suggestions for companies, wherever you are, that repair printers, by all means, put them in the notes or drop me an email, let me know, and I can just sort of add them to my list of companies I know of. The comments in this don't accept URLs, so just put the details, the name of the company or something like that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that's been of interest. Thank you.